Welcome back. Kevin Libby had the chance to sit down for an exclusive interview with Queen Quet. Let's see what they talked about.
I'm a Jetson, the first black Jetson. To be able to get my people into this century with so many other nations of the world, I was that person right standing in the gap between the elders and the younger people all my life. Where the other people would get run outside, somehow the older people would let me sit there. When I found out computer science could actually program things in the world in such a way to make life easier, I started trying to bridge the gap between the elders and the younger people by explaining to them how this technology could really help the family, how it could help the community. So now they know what the computers are, but it's been so many years lagged behind. You still find that on rural islands like St. Helena, not everybody owns a computer. They own a PDA that they call a cell phone, but they don't use it to its top efficiency. When I was coming up, there weren't computers. Computers were new to people because mostly it was only corporations like IBM that had computers. They were making the computers, but that's what I wanted to do. So I ended up being a computer scientist. My teachers wanted me to be a medical doctor. I found out now my classmates thought I'd be a lawyer. I'm like, why would y'all think I wanted to do that? So many of us drive by the Chapel of Ease our whole lives on St. Helena Island or walk by it, never stop to think, well, what is it really? They just know it used to be a church that burned down. And it's significant to us in the Gullah Geechee community because Mr. Sam Doyle, who God bless the dead, lives only up the road a piece right there, and they even renamed the driveway, used to clean this yard all the time. And we wondered, why would he do that? Because historically this church wasn't for the black people, it was for the enslavers that are buried out here. But what he knew is what I know. It was our ancestors that actually built this tabby edifice. And so that's why it's so significant to us, where other people just come to treasure its history connected to the church in Beaufort and connected to enslavement and that era of time. We celebrate it because it stands as a cultural legacy about the architectural skills and the construction skills that even Gullah Geechee still continue today. And so it's so significant because it also is an amalgamation of our African and Native American traditions. Because the Africans made the bricks and they made them in Africa and then came here and did this. And then coquina and tabby were made by indigenous Americans here. And so when I look at this edifice, I see both. I see my whole family on both sides coming together. People say there's a thin line between genius and insanity. And I often wonder if it's the crazy people who make that statement. Because most of the times the geniuses are cold crazy until they die, and then when they die, then someone names buildings after them and says, oh, look at the theory this person had, or they were a trailblazer, but they were ahead of their time. Someone had to stand in that gap. Someone had to do something so that the language would still be here and the people that speak it would still be here. Don't listen to people who aren't doing what you do, because all they're going to do is get in the way of you doing it. So you keep on doing what God sends you to do. If you know it's your vision, you just carry it through. And I started a listserv, the first one in the world, for Gullah Geechees, and we still have that listserv. And then I had the first website to ever go on the internet that had Gullah Geechee in the name. I'm not knowing just how much the world literally watches you over the internet. I'm getting on the subway and I'm going with a token to the UN there. The next thing I know, they're like, oh, send us your information for your passport, your da-da-da. So I'm thinking, again, screening to get in the UN. Not knowing they're also purchasing my plane ticket to Switzerland. Then they brief me on how I need the speech. It needs to be prepared already because they have to give copies to the interpreters. The interpreters do this. I fly to Geneva, Switzerland in the middle of the Kosovo incident. And they suddenly say, we're voting to take a break that we won't be in session on Friday, which is when my number would have come up for me to speak. But some people from New York who are activists, who I found out later, their leader was a native Gullah Geechee woman from Georgetown, When I walked up and I said, can anybody switch numbers with me? I just need your help to find out. He said, are you what you here to speak about? The Gullah Geechee? I said, that's exactly what I'm here to speak about. He said, come with me. And we went and we switched numbers, and that made all the difference in the world. April of 1999, I had no idea that by the time I would fly home, there were going to be cover stories that I had been to the United Nations speaking to the Human Rights Commission, that there were going to be all these people, the BBC, CNN, and all these folks that wanted to now talk to me. Why did you need to go over there? Well, I needed to go over there because nobody was hearing us over here. The older people sit there while their grandchildren hit the videos and go, Grandma, you sound just like this when you on the phone. Yeah, they Queen Quet, you crack your teeth just like I want to be to do when you deal with your sisters and things like that. And I ain't been on stand on it before, but I watch your videos. And so now, that now has bridged the community where people say, oh, Queen, I saw you on your TV show. I watch your TV. I said, you on the internet? Child, my grandchild showed me your show, and now they bought me a computer and I watch that. And to have the intergenerational growth go the other way. Like we always had to sit and learn from the elders, and now it's wonderful to sit with the elders and they learn from us.
Thanks, Kevin, and thanks to all of our special guests. To my wardrobe sponsor, SM Bradford Co. and Currents, for keeping me in style. Thanks to Gustavo Ratia, Jeremy Pope, Keenan Walsh, Latia Nelson, and Wayne Morris for keeping things running smoothly. And most importantly, thank you for making us a part of your day. I'm Betsy McDaniel, and we'll see you next time for the Beaufort News.